Hey, it's me, Kevin. In this video, I'm going to talk about 2023, everything that I have planned for 2023, and how I want to make 2023 an even more awesome year than 2021 was. Yeah, I skipped over 2022 because 2022 wasn't great in the market, and there was some other little bit of, scars that happened in the meantime. So we're going to work on making 2023 awesome, and this video is going to be all about how. Let's go hit New York. We'll talk about it. Make sure you turn the lights off, okay? Energy crisis. Hey. What's up?
It's a bear market right now.
Oh, it's a bear market, man. You want to be in the video? What's up, man?
What's up? Oh
you watch, your wife watches? Tell me.
I started watching you when I was in Berlin. I moved to Spain. I started investing in crypto.
Oh my gosh.
In Tesla. Tesla's going down. Oh my God, Tesla's
It'll be
killing
back.
it.
It'll be back.
We need all those EV companies to come back. All right, cheers.
Thanks, man. One of the biggest things I've noticed studying other entrepreneurs, other creators, people who have come and gone, is that most people don't get canceled. They actually self-cancel. Think about that for a moment. That sounds really weird. What do you mean self-cancel? Cancel culture is you make a mistake and then you get canceled and then you stop posting because you stop getting attention. But the reality is most people cancel themselves, whether they're in social media or not. In other words, they make a mistake, they become pessimistic, they lose hope, they lose enthusiasm, they lose what made them them. The energy, the excitement, the optimism. And when you lose what makes you you, of course you're gonna fail. And I strongly believe this, that no matter who you are watching this video, if you believe that you can make 2023 a better year than 2022 behind us, you're gonna make it happen. Now, how can you practically take that into your own life? I believe it all comes down to risk. Risk versus stability and security. Most of the time, we think that's it. This is all I'm destined for. 13 years ago, I would have never in my life thought that I would have had my PB on this building. Never in my life would I have thought that would have been possible. But it was only possible through taking risk. And I think in 2023, my plan needs to be to keep going. I don't want to just coast. I don't just want to make videos and play it safe and make sure everyone perfectly likes me. I'd like for 80% of people to like me and like my content, right? I don't have to appeal to all the extremes. But if I can provide value to 80% of people while taking risks that I can actually expand my business, then I want to be that symbol of hope for you, that if you take risks, even if you mess up, think about all the times I've messed up, you can also still succeed. And that's really, really exciting. Tomorrow, by the way, I'll be in the New York Stock Exchange again for the opening bell, which is really exciting. I've got an interview inside, and I've got my nicey jacket ready to go. Now in the next part, we're gonna talk schedule and productivity. One of the biggest things about productivity I've noticed is when you wake up in the morning, it's weird, but if you stay in sort of your gym clothes, your junky kind of clothes, your casual sleep clothes, ooh, productivity goes in the toilet. So I'm actually gonna go back to old school Kevin. Old school Kevin had a reputation for always being in a suit. Now, I've tried getting away from that because people have this impression that, oh, you're just a suit. But I realize the people who say that don't know what the hell they're talking about. F them. If putting on professional looking clothing gets me more productive in the day and being less sloth-like when you wake up at 7 or not 7, I wake up at 4. I'm thinking 7 Eastern time because I've been waking up at 7 here, which is 4 over there. Anyway, I wake up at 4 California time and that gets me more productive. Worth it. So that's change number 1. Going back to Kevin, sleeping in a suit, basically. Now, what are some practical reasons for that? Well, there are a few. Number 1, it's almost impossible to just roll back into bed after you do your morning meeting, right? So you're awake for sure. Next, you're not just some dude anymore. You're not only dressed for every circumstance, but people can take you seriously in every circumstance. Now, one of the best dress tips I have, and it's what I'm gonna be implementing for 2023, white shirt jeans. It's versatile. Jeans, you can get great ones for 49 to 69 bucks. You don't have to worry if they get stained because your 7-year-old son dropped pizza on your favorite hunter green pants. may have just happened to me and I can't get a replacement of them, but I'm working on ideas to get that oil out. But jeans look great, very professional, and you can change the white kind of contrast with any kind of jacket all day long. Want to dress it up? Wear a vest, wear a jacket. Want to dress it down? Wear a little bit of a sports sweater. But it works with everything, tie or no tie. But either way, when you wear a jacket and a white shirt, that contrast just looks so good. Gives you that confidence, makes you look professional in every setting, and we want that productivity. Remember, we don't just want to be some guy on YouTube, we want to be some professional guy on YouTube. Next, what about productivity? Probably one of the biggest sins of being an entrepreneur is feeling like you're wasting time. You gotta do more with less time. How do you do that? You gotta know thyself. Now that sounds weird, but it's actually practical advice. I know that I do my best video filming when I'm high on coffee. Okay, that's all I do. It's just coffee. And it works the best when I wake up at 4 and I film to about 10, 11. I can sit in the studio, I can read, I can study, I can fly through earnings calls, I can fly through earnings statements, financial statements. But boy, oh boy, as soon as that clock hits post lunchtime, usually it's actually right when I eat my lunch, which I'm starving. If I skip my breakfast, I'm starving by the time it's lunch. As soon as I eat that food, within 30 minutes, I'm like, damn, I need to take a nap. This sucks. So, what am I gonna do with my schedule to hack that I know I work really well in a studio doing numbers, boring kind of finance stuff, making videos, cranking out Fed and CPI news in the morning? What am I gonna do with the next half of my day to make sure I can juggle all of my businesses? And what are my business expansion plans looking like, including employees and interns? All of that next. First, we gotta get to Fifth Ave. Okay, JK, not on Fifth Ave yet, but let's talk my schedule and my actual game plan for how I'm gonna be able to coordinate my life and be productive running 3 incredible different companies. Remember, and I think you're gonna be able to learn some productive things from this as well. Remember, my goal is always to provide value. And if you provide value, you too can succeed in America. I don't know why I use that accent, but anyway. My goal is 4 a.m. to 10, maybe 11-ish with Course Member live stream, office only, filming, that's it. Ideally take a break around lunch. I rarely take breaks, but take enough of a break for a little bit of a headspace reset, 45-minute run, 15 minutes for food, grab another afternoon or grab the first afternoon cup of coffee, boom. Now, what's next? Okay, this is the cool part. So, I have always been basically solo man show. And when I did real estate, everything was solo. I didn't want an office, I didn't want anything, I wanted to do everything myself. I realized that in 2015 when I got really busy as a broker, it was really difficult to do everything myself. And the same is true now. I've pretty much done everything myself when it comes to research, production. I've tried other people to help with researching in the past, but I've pretty much done 99% of the videos that you've seen on this channel completely by myself. And what I realize is I don't need an editor, I don't need somebody to hold the camera. What I do need is a team to help me get the best possible information that I don't have time to hunt for beyond the information that I already look for. And so, the second half of the day is going to be dedicated to looking at the information that my team gets for all 3 businesses. Content production research for our exchange traded fund that I manage. After all, I'm a licensed financial advisor, right? And number 3, making sure that anything that has to do with House Hack gets done in the afternoons. So that way I'm really going to segment my day. First half of the day dedicated to filming, content creation. Second half of the day, team. What do we need to know about properties? What do we need to know about research for the next day of filming? So that way I'm prepared to film and I can really then travel in afternoons and on weekends to our real estate portfolios, making sure that I'm personally the one who's pulling the trigger on doing these real estate deals for House Hack. Anyone like BlackRock or Invitation Homes can send somebody out to go look at and scout a real estate deal. But not everyone is Meet Kevin going around looking for wedge deals themselves. And that's what I'm gonna be doing with House Hack. So I've surrounded myself with 3 amazing interns who have officially been chosen, and they will be starting January 5th. Next, they'll be joining someone who's already core to 3 of my business, an amazing worker, one of the hardest working people I've ever seen. I mean, like, I think he rivals my hard work and the amount of time that I work. Anyway, McKay, they'll be joining him in the office. They'll be joining the 4 amazing construction team individuals that we have who are actually with me at the podium, ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And then, of course, we have our team for CPA, investor relations, marketing, and design. But they're less of sort of a hands-on with me on an everyday basis. They're there when I need them, right? So this is going to be my plan for 2023. Now, in the next part of the video, I want to talk about specifically some of the things we plan to do and what things and lessons you might be able to take away from those as well. Now, before we talk about scaling those 3 businesses and lessons that you can learn that might help you scale your business, let's understand how I practically expect to get around. But first, I have to go patronize Hugo Boss Columbus Circle. That's because when one of my sons was having a tantrum in their store yesterday, rather than kick us out, they gave him cheesy popcorn, and that kid ate the entire bag. Maybe he was having a tantrum because he was hungry, okay? I don't know. He's 4 years old. He certainly didn't tell me, but maybe a clue was that he was chewing on his hands the whole time. All right, learning over here. But now, let's go patronize them, and then let's talk about things you could learn from how I'm planning to scale my businesses. Because, folks, we want House Hack to own one of those in the future. That is so cool. Wow. That's really nice. All right, now we gotta talk logistics. What the heck is going on logistically? How am I going to scale all of these different businesses? So here's exactly what we're gonna do. First of all, we've subcontracted a lot of the support services that we need for the ETF. So in other words, I make decisions in terms of allocations. I handle research, right? I handle research review, the analysis and all of that. But the extent of my additional effort on the ETF is actually very, very little, which is beautiful because the research that I do, or potentially our team does, is research that I use and share with course members and on YouTube for free. And in the future, we're going to be updating our Meet Kevin app, which is available in the Android and Apple app stores. We'll be updating that to give free PDF versions of our research, which is really cool because not everything makes it into videos. That way we'll sort of have a daily dump of research on there, and we'll have a very, very transparent ETF, which I'm very excited about sharing all of that information. But the core here is that what I've actually done, and this is a lesson that you can take away, is I've created 2 businesses out of essentially the same work. See, if my job is researching stocks and sharing insights into financial instruments or real estate or whatever, specifically in this case, stock companies, that research that applies to the ETF is information that also allows me to create content. So that's where the first half of the day is essentially content generation and research. The second half of the day is essentially going to be all about house hack, real estate, touring homes. Weekends will probably be a little bit more real estate heavy. And then the goal is evenings and the second half of most of the weekend days, family. Now, I've got to talk about the structure for that because that is going to be a little bit tricky. So, how do you scale house hack? Okay, look, there's an easy and lazy way to do it, and then there's the real way to do it. I'm going to reveal the real way to do it right after this really noisy ambulance goes by. God bless the hope. Okay, wait, they're going to park there? No, okay, they're still going. I'm like, they're not going by, they're just going to stand here wailing at me. But anyway, best wishes to them. You know, that's another thing that I think a lot of us watching this take for granted is our actual ability to do things, right? We're not dead. I hope that the vast majority of us are not impaired to the ability where we can't. And of course, we try to help those around us who can't, right? But if we can, it's almost like a waste not to use it, right? Anyway, nothing like going to vlog in Central Park at night in the rain. So, what do we need to talk about? Well, we need to talk about scaling a real estate empire. And when I say that, I'm sharing that empire. That's not mine, right? I'm sharing that with our House Hack investors. So the way you could do it is you visit maybe 20 different cities and areas that you want to invest in. You pick your top three, just saying that like a 4-year-old. You pick your top 3, and then when deals come up, you have local Matterport scanning individuals or representatives that can kind of vet the properties for you, and you're a little bit hands-off. I don't like that. That method would generally call for maybe visiting each area. If you're picking 3 major areas to invest in equally, like let's just say, I'm going to make these up. Let's say it's Denver, I don't know, San Antonio and Salt Lake City, just say, right? Or maybe Tampa or South Florida, whatever it is. That doesn't matter. You pick those areas. Once you pick those areas, maybe you go out and sort of like check in on things every couple months. I actually think that's a really bad way to scale House Hack and make sure we're getting the best wedge deals. And I have that solution. We're gonna talk about that solution once I sit down, because walking is cold. Now keep in mind, the reason I think it's really important that I personally visit these properties is because I think any company like an Invitation Homes or whatever can send somebody who doesn't really care that much at the end of the day, because it's not their company, right? They're not the executive running it, to go buy and pick real estate or look at Matterport scans and do analysis. I think real estate is a people business. And by being the individual who myself interacts as much as possible for as long as possible with real estate agents and contractors and locations with my team, then when it does get to the point where we scale beyond my ability to see every property, which probably won't happen for the first few hundred properties, right? Maybe once we get to like 501 properties plus, we've got a model that we can really copy and paste without me there all the time, right? But at least we build that relationship and that reputation in the areas where we're buying with me first. Once those areas go into autopilot, I can move into the expansion mode of, okay, well now Kevin's gonna be boots on the ground in the new areas we're expanding to. But I do think that personal touch in real estate, if the guy who's making the decision is actually the guy showing up and introducing themselves to contractors, meeting real estate agents and learning from real estate agents, I think that goes a really long way. There are ways that you can very inexpensively travel short distances by plane, whether that's turboprop or whatever it is, inexpensively get to destinations that are up to say maybe 2 hours away and get back, especially if you have multiple people with you that are being trained. You can inexpensively get back and forth in the same day without actually missing out on family time or content production time. And so that's what we're working on right now. Full details of that, whether it's fractional ownership or what, and the tax benefits of all of that are going to be coming. I do want to be very clear that, at least for the very long initial period of time, all of the expenses of whatever travel I choose initially are going to fall on me, and that's because I'm going to use whatever way I travel as a way to also produce content and make sure that I could still run my initial business, right, my media business, as profitably as possible while expanding House Hack. So stay tuned for more insight on that. Really, really excited to share it, and we'll absolutely make sure that all of our travel accounting is 100% transparent as well. The things we're looking at right now, let me just put it this way. It is more reasonable than commercial aviation, like commercial flight, which you might say there's no way. Oh, there's a way. And it's really, really cool, and I'm so excited to share that. So stay tuned for that. But wait a minute. What about the first business, right? That core business, the media business. What's the goal there? And what can we learn from what I want to do with that core business? Let's talk next. All right, so I've been thinking a lot about this. Look, as a creator and somebody who runs any business, I believe it's extremely important that everybody always focus on what is their number one most profitable business. And obviously for me, that's not House Hack, because that's a long-term play, right? That won't make me a dime until after it IPOs. That'll probably take 6-7 years, hopefully sooner, but who knows? We want to make sure when we get to IPO, it's perfect, right? It's a great company. So we've got time there and patience there. And so when I say it's important to focus on that number one most profitable business and thinking about how to expand that, many folks, I believe, especially entrepreneurs, get stuck in this trap of, oh, you know what, this is good enough. Like, I'm doing good, I'm able to get by, I can pay my bills, I can take vacation. Why would I take a risk, right? Risk is scary because if you take a risk, maybe you could make more, but what if that risk leads you to go to zero? And I've just found that my entire life, ever since I was 17 standing outside that New York Stock Exchange to 13 years later, so it's not really my entire life, 13 years of sort of my adult life, I've just found that I don't know what it is, but I get bored and I've got to always be expanding. And I think that's actually a great thing for the businesses, right? That's great for HouseHack, that's great for the ETFs, that's great for the media business. And my hope is that at some point in the future, we can rival companies like CNBC and other mainstream media and actually provide a better service. In other words, rather than providing the same thing that mainstream media does, providing really good perspective that provides extreme value, but is done so in a neutral manner. What I don't want to do is, and it's not to bag on these folks, right? These are actually very successful people, and it's a compliment to them. I don't want to do the Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson model where you cater to one audience, one political affiliation, and that's it. What I'd really like to do is that middle 80%, right? Left 10%, right 10% might hate you, whereas 10% of people might hate you no matter what anyway, because they don't like the way you look, or they think your face is punchable, or whatever. But if we can focus on blowing up our top core business with that schedule, that productive schedule I talked about in the morning, while also potentially vlogging kind of like this, our real estate ventures in the afternoons and being really transparent with everything we're doing in real estate, then I think we have a really good chance to triple or 5x or even 10x the viewership that we had in 2022 in 2023. And if this model works, which so far in my testings, it works. If this model continues to work, 2023 is going to be awesome. But 2024 and 5, when we really go into expansion mode, not just for HouseHack in the second half of the day, right? But also for the media biz, it's going to be freaking amazing. Now, what about family time? Important. What I've done seems a little regimented, and it's like, wait, why do you have to do this with your family time? But what I actually did is something that I think will be even better and more time efficient for the time that I spend with family. Watch this. On an ordinary basis, maybe I'll spend a couple hours a day with the family, kids, mixed up, however, but sometimes that time is actually distracted. So I'll be with the family, but I'm not really present because maybe I'm on my phone or whatever. So that means it's a not really good 14 hours a week, right? Quick aside, this is Trump Tower, and back in the early 2000s, The Apprentice was actually a show that I found really inspiring. I didn't love it when it turned into Celebrity Apprentice, and I think Trump's lost his mind a little bit recently. I think there's probably time for new folks like a DeSantis or something like that. Look, I don't want to get political in this video, but I just wanted to come by here and stop by because this actually was an inspiration for me, and I gotta honor that. Okay, but now back to that family question. This is a pretty neat solution, and I think you'll like it as well. So, the rough game plan with family time is that I dedicate at least 2 weekdays starting at 2 p.m. to doing fun things with Dad, Lauren, kids, right? All of us together. So that way, starting at 2 p.m. to about 10, it's pure family time. Now, those days, which days those will be dependent on what we've got going on for travel, for HouseHack or kids' schedules or whatever. But that way, at least, that works out to 16 hours during the week just for family, and that's going to be dedicated time. So rather than potentially an interrupted 14, it's actually a real 16. On top of that, starting at roughly noon on weekend days, even if we travel somewhere, I take either a child or Lauren or whatever, and then the second half of the weekend days also gets dedicated to family. So I count to about 10 p.m., so 12 to 10 works out to about 10 hours. That's 20 hours on weekends plus 16 during the week. That's 36 uninterrupted family hours versus a previous, pretty embarrassed to say it, but 14 not that committed. That's a problem. It's something I've got to work on. But in doing this, I think I've got a schedule that takes me from somewhere about 9:30, 10-ish, right, to about 4 in the morning on a daily basis. I operate pretty well on about 6 hours of sleep. It now gives me dedicated and scheduled family time, but it also gives me time to operate and expand 3 businesses. The first 2 have a massive overlap in the mornings, and the second is dedicated to afternoons and those mornings on weekends. So the last piece of this whole pie might actually be a little bit of a surprise, but 2023, I want to make a year about reinvesting everything that I make from my business into my businesses, into all 3 of them. So even if most of that comes from social media, it's going back into all 3 of them. And that also includes people. And that's probably the most important part, that I think if there's one thing I haven't done as well as I could, it's making sure that I am tripling down on my commitment to other people, making sure that we keep hiring, we keep expanding. I've really got to get off of this train of, oh, it's only Kevin. Kevin's gonna do everything. I think there is something about having a team, that camaraderie, that I miss. I had that during the campaign and for a bit after. Since about April, I feel like it's only been really myself most of the time, with a little bit of help from others on the team now, but not that core camaraderie that we had during the campaign days, and I want to get back to that. So that's why we're so excited about investing in people again and expanding to our interns. So that's going to be very, very epic. Thanks so much. Thanks.